Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show on Pursuit Channel and Wild TV. You are now tuned into our weekly podcast hosted by executive producer Kyle Green, production coordinator Jeff Hutchinson, director AJ Beadle, and creative producer Ryan Parks. We live in a world where our natural resources are almost solely protected by funds raised by hunters and fishermen. With over 60% of those funds coming from white males over the age of 55, the Greenway Outdoors team has set out on a mission to create content that would inspire millennials, Generation Z, and new sportsmen and women to get out, hunt, fish, and contribute towards conservation and the betterment of our planet. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast. Ryan, your hair looks fantastic. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jeff.
I'm AJ.
I'm Ryan.
And I like.
And my hair looks good.
You had a baseball cap on.
3, 2. How's my hair look? How's my hair look?
I know you said that as the countdown was happening. I was like, Ryan, your
Sorry,
hair.
I'm not answering.
The little fluff that we can see looks fantastic, buddy.
Terrible. And welcome to the show.
This week's episode, we're going to be talking about a few different things. Number one, our ice fishing trip, which was trips. I gotta say trips, yeah, to correct that easily with what we went through.
Trips.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can.
I did too.
He went on 2 of 3.
Plural is 2 or more.
The only one that really counted you didn't go on, though.
Hey, Ryan, AJ wanted me to tell you to
No,
drop dead.
no, I didn't.
Drop dead.
I get to tell my fox squirrel story, which it's been on the list for 3 or 4 different times. And it never makes the cut, but it is. It's a very true and very important story about squirrels. Then we're going to be talking about Ash Wednesday and how people give stuff up for Lent and what the meaning is behind that, and my thoughts on it, and obviously your guys' thoughts on it, which are a little bit less important. And then I'm just kidding.
I just want to say real quick before we get into anything too deep, I really like your outfit.
You don't. Why am I?
You got a nice.
Here we go.
Why am I under attack every week for what I wear now?
Jacket on with your little neon colored thing underneath.
Why don't you wear?
Looks very sporty, golden girl.
Why don't you wear another crinkled collar polo and then get back to me, okay?
Like, here it goes.
He's like, I love those polos.
Crinkled collar.
We have a new guy on the board with us today, and he's probably like, these guys are just, they're mean to each other. I didn't realize they were so mean to each other.
We love each other.
Please don't notice me. Please don't notice me. Please don't notice me.
We did, so these ice fishing trips, as we were just talking about, were pretty extensive. Our goal was to go out and get lake trout in shallow water on Lake Huron. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple experts helping us out with how to do it. And according to what we were hoping, it was going to be easy. And we went out took 3 different trips to get one fish. And the first time we went out, we only saw 2 Lakers.
No, you saw
2.
Oh,
I saw one, and then I saw what I think was a whitefish, and then you saw something that none of the rest of us saw. So, yeah, just one.
One real one. No, I'm just kidding. No, guys, 5 more minutes. You guys played the 5-minute game with me.
yeah.
I'm like the kid that asked for 5 more minutes, except for some weird reason I actually get to make choices. So we just end up being out there for how long was
45 more minutes?
No. 10 or 11 hours.
5 more
first
minutes.
2 times.
Just 5 more minutes after the 5 more minutes. But you guys, how cool would it be? If all we need is one fish and make an episode?
Well, then
how
there was
cool would
that
it
weird
be if
like
one fish came in?
Sound like you were crying, but it wasn't crying.
Oh, yeah, it's
thing.
like, please, just a fish. Please, come on. He was like doing this whiny thing. Please.
Like it wasn't whining, but it just had this weird pitch to it.
Ugh.
It sounded like you were crying.
You guys seemed so upset that I just kept saying over and over again.
I signed the checks.
Yeah, that's my favorite. When everyone gangs up on me and be like, it's really weird that I'm the one that signs the checks and you guys are being really mean to me right now. Like last week, everyone that watched the podcast was like, your team's really mean to you. I was like, yeah, no. They're jealous of my awesome outfits.
It was probably a 36 hour to get everything, probably.
Yep. Yeah, it was 36 hours of hard fishing in order to get it. But here's the thing. I know that this is always, like with bear, for instance. We went out and bear hunted for 3 or 4 days. The episode was incredible because we had so much footage and so much B-roll and so much this and so much that. This episode there's so much content. Even Jeffrey was funny. I say it like he's not the funny one every time.
With your crinkled collar.
I've been saving that. I was like, all week long, I was stewing on how you guys treated me last week. I go, let him say something about my shirt this week, and he's going to get the crinkle.
That was one of the best podcasts we've ever had last week. Dude,
we got so much feedback from that.
It was hilarious.
So much feedback from that one. It's weird that the one that did so well is the one where you guys were so mean to me. It's like our audience is just passive aggressive and mean, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I find it funny because you're the one that signs the checks too.
As I remind you when everyone gangs up on me.
I sign them.
But when we went and did the episode, we had, like I said, so many days, but like the amount of content and the amount of footage and the amount of B-roll in 3 different weather days. That was so much. That's me hitting Jeffrey in the face with the thing. I was clearly thinking that was hilarious.
Why would you do that?
It was funny. I flung it too, so it whipped him. He whap. I posted about it on Facebook. Everyone loved it.
That's why people watching are like, yeah, that one podcast, because we all made fun of you because you do crap like that.
You're the mean one, and that's what everyone wants. So the different weather days that we had, like we had a really warm, clear day that was super sunny. We had one day that was like partly cloudy and really bitter cold, and then we had another day it was like rainy and drizzly. So like we flew the drone all 3 days, and we got all kinds of GoPro footage, and we got the new GoPros in, so the stuff was super clear. And then we were lucky enough that once we went out on that 3rd day, it was a horrendous walk.
Oh,
we had to walk out, and our Snapchat video of the week that I posted was that was the day AJ missed.
I saw the drone footage, and it looked very far.
Someone finally pulling up the target species.
Jeffrey says that. So we had we set up tip-ups, and we also did some jigging through the hole. And finally, I was able to, we had 2 flags go off. Jeffrey got the first one because he's like this whole self-proclaimed righteous thing that he's got going on. But Jeffrey got the first flag, and he pulled up a beautiful lake trout. And the thing about, all jokes aside, the cool thing about lake trout fishing, too, is when normally when you're pike fishing for tip-ups, you've got like 50-pound braided line on, with a steel leader in a big old treble hook, and you can muscle them in, and it's just kind of different. But with this, we're using these tiny, eensy-beensy little treble hooks. I've never seen, it's like smaller than my pinky fingernail. Oh, I've never seen anything like it, AJ. Like, we were doing everything wrong, by the way, before when we were going by ourselves until Brandon went with us. We're terrible.
The weird thing is we were using smaller fish with bigger hooks. They used ginormous fish.
I saw the bait,
and they were like,
huge.
"Oh yeah, but the hook, you don't want to use the big ones because they've had too many drops." Which
that means the fish take it and let go because they feel the hook. But here's the thing: we did what the bait shop guy told us to do. So we're like, "Hey, we're going out for lake trout. What do we do?" And he's like, "Do this," and it wasn't that.
Yeah,
so
he didn't look like he was credible anyway.
Yeah, well, you'd think like a bait shop.
Like either.
Yeah, normally with the bait shop people, like you just figure they're going to be right, but they weren't.
Assume, yeah.
So, I mean, I've never seen treble hooks this small. Didn't even know they made them that small. And that's what we were using with like 7, 8-inch chubs. Like we're talking minnows like that.
Yeah, they were big.
So we're putting those down, and I was like a little, like the hook barely went in the chub. Like you had a hook so high up on the spine of the bait fish that it was barely like in them. But I thought that for sure they'd throw the hook off, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And
because they swallow them whole.
I guess so. But then
that has to be it.
You got to imagine such a massive fish to swallow an 8-inch chub whole. You know what I mean? Well,
huge.
Sure enough. So the first flag goes off, and the cool thing is you're kind of fighting them in a different way. Like I said, with pike, you've got that big braided line on those big hooks, and you've seen us, AJ. We were just muscling them up.
Yep.
Whereas with this, if they pull real hard, you got to let them take line because there's a 6-pound leader that's clear.
The flag goes up, you run into it, because when we did pike, you just boom.
You don't even do the first.
You don't.
You don't set the hook like that.
No, because they've fully eaten it, and you're just pulling them up. So it's like a weird. You have to keep tension on it. You can't let it slack, but you can't pull too hard. It's not like you have to pull too hard though, because you're just kind of. It's there, but it's not there.
Well, you risk snapping the line if you do it the other way.
Now the walleye, I caught a walleye. Jeff caught a lake trout. And we'll go into that, but his fish didn't fight as hard because it did swallow it completely whole. And when they swallow it, it's down in their throat, so they're less likely to really be pulling. But even so, and he took a ton of line out. Like we didn't notice your flag for a while, and it happened within the first 20 minutes of us being out there. It was awesome.
We didn't even have the shanty up yet. We were setting out other tip-ups.
Right. Yeah, I was at another tip up just setting it up where we had seen a fish down there in the water while setting the tip up, and he set out the flag but just kind of mouthed it and then back off. Anyhow, just pulling it up, and it does a couple runs on him. Now pike, you just muscle it in.
Yep.
When they run with these, you kind of got to let the line go in between your hands.
Really?
Let them take more line, because if you muscle it, they'll break the 6-pound leader.
Okay.
Both our fish were well over 6 pounds.
Yeah, they look huge.
So and then
They're that huge.
on top of that, yeah, exactly. Those are the two monsters right there. Now the other thing is too, when you pull them up, they you can't just lift them out of the water because they weigh more than the test of the line. So you break the line. So you got to reach down and grab grab their gill and lift them out.
Okay.
You don't want to finger them like you would a bass, because you'll end up getting your thumb jacked up with your teeth.
Oh yeah.
But I think there's another phrase for it than what I said. But anyhow, when you reach down, you grab them by the gill and pull them out. But that was cool because it's kind of like, with pike, you catch it and you got it and everyone just watches. But with these kind of fish, it's like a team effort, because someone's got to reach down and grab the fish, and that's the hardest part. The pulling them up thing and seeing the flag, that's the easy part. Reaching down and grabbing them by the gill. And just fish, it was my first time really doing it like that with a lake trout, especially when I reached down. It's like he couldn't have had the gills anymore pressed against his face. No. So I'm like,
okay.
I'm digging at it to try and pull it away from the skin, and I kept slipping, and they're like, you better grab it. And I was like, oh.
It's too much pressure. There's one whitefish from one time, and I'm watching this go.
He
here
lets
we go
this
again.
go
Because of that.
Biggest whitefish ever.
That happened with Jeff and I, where I took Jeffrey out walleye fishing for the first time, and we're jigging, and we had a whitefish come in and take my hook. And I hadn't explained to Jeffrey how to grab him by the gill. I hadn't explained anything. And to be honest with you, I was shady on knowing myself.
Didn't even say I had to do anything. And then he goes, get it. And I'm like, what do you mean, get it?
It was like up at the hole. So the fish got off.
The fish started spinning.
Okay.
And
he was able to spit the hook.
And then...
Wow.
So my revenge for him, I'd be lying if I didn't say I contemplated letting this lake trout go. But I think we needed it for the episode, and that was more important than evil revenge.
Past revenge.
Good for you, buddy. I'm proud of how far you've come.
But grabbing him was tough. We got him out of the water, and I was looking, I'm like, this is awesome. Just the relief of like you said, 36 hours of fishing.
Yep.
And finally lifting that fish out of the water after all the walking, after all the work, after all the driving.
3 separate times driving hour and a half.
And I said in the episode, there's a certain relationship that the four of us have with a successful hunting or fishing trip that puts us as close to our ancestors as possible, for the simple fact of if our ancestors didn't catch a fish or didn't have a successful hunt, they didn't eat dinner. Now, we're going to eat dinner no matter what. We're going to stop at, DQ on the way home. They should
fresh
sponsor
caught
us.
ice cream.
Yeah, fresh caught. We're going to stop on the way home. We're going to survive. But for us as a team, if we have a lot of unsuccessful hunting or fishing trips and they start to stack up, we could lose our careers.
Yeah. Correct.
So it's there's a certain nostalgia, I was going to say it, to the pressure that we have over the weekend warrior who goes out to hunt and fish for fun. Mm-hmm. It's we have to come through, and decisions have to be made, and it's a balance for me too. Is Ryan comes. You guys haven't had a weekend in a month, and Ryan comes to me, and he's supposed to go up north, and he's he's supposed to go up north with his friend snowmobiling. He's like, I won't go. I'll go with you guys to film. And
instead, he went up with his friends up north.
No, with us.
Shut up, Jeff.
He didn't miss out at all.
Yeah, you got to go with us up north. But
I'll give away our exact location.
The amount, our team of four, AJ, how many all-nighters do you think you pulled in the last 3 years? Too many.
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
A lot.
Got it.
How many episodes have we done?
I know. Hey, we put a couple in on time.
We have
1 or 2 out of 50.
Beginning of the season.
Yeah, last year. But that being said, the amount of all-nighters AJ's put in, and Ryan, who's been with us for a year now, over a year.
Yep.
And his dedication to be no, I'm not going to go up north with my friends and give up another weekend in order to get this episode filmed when there was no good reason to think we'd even get a fish.
Yeah, everyone kept telling us we were idiots.
Yeah, I know. And I just thought that was real cool and special that Ryan was willing to do that. And that's the thing is the only reason
Thanks, Ryan.
Go look at Meat Eater. Go look at every other hunting and fishing show that is in our competition for top level tier of cable television. Watch their credits. There's 35 people in the credits every time. Mm-hmm. There's 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we're killing them, which is sorry, I'm gonna get excited, but we're kicking butt right now, and it's awesome.
I think that's a strong point to make. Is a lot of it's like actual production companies, like with a ton of people, 30, 40 people, and there's 4 of us doing 10 people's jobs.
Yeah, but
Literally,
you
yeah.
can't stop us because we'll work around the clock.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There's
Yeah.
no timelines. There's no nothing. We'll make a new podcast every single week. We will create a television show and deliver it weekly. We just don't stop. I mean, we create 26 episodes a year in a 52-week calendar year, and now 52 podcasts a year on top of that. We're producing all of those and delivering with B-roll pictures. You're seeing it all. I mean, we're just workhorses. But at the same time, it's also what we love to do. So we're like, people are like, wow, you guys are really lucky. It's like,
we are.
There's other sides to it.
Luck comes to those who are willing to give up another weekend. So Ryan, thank you again for doing that. Because of that, I will go on the record of saying that I think that episode will be better than Bear, and I think it will be our best episode ever. When you factor in the content that we have, the jokes that Weirdo made, the drone footage, the GoPro shots, the success, the failures leading up to the success, the size of that walleye, almost 29 inches and 10 pounds.
Yeah, you didn't really tell much about that.
Yeah, the walleye was, I mean, that's going to be on the DNR website. I mean, it's a monster, that is. I mean, it was
huge.
That's the biggest walleye I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen bigger. So that was pretty cool.
It was coming up to the hole, and Brandon was down there, he was going to grab it, and then it comes up, opens its mouth. He's like, well, not going to reach in that one's mouth.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what he did was he goes, ah. That's all he said, and I looked at it. I was like, "That doesn't look like Jeffrey's."
That's weird looking.
Yeah, that's a weird looking.
Weird. It's got that weird blind eye thing going on. I don't know what.
I was just and it ran on me a couple times. So it would get close, and I'm like, "That does not look like a lake trout." But I was like, maybe I just don't know enough about lake trout, so I just didn't say nothing because I didn't want to sound stupid. Plus, we were filming. And then when I brought it up, he goes, "That's not a lake trout." And I was like, "Good for me. Good for me."
Wow, that's a cool lake trout. Walleye. Yeah, I was just saying that.
The same bait, same like tip up.
Everything is exactly the same.
Wow.
I didn't even know you could catch walleye on chubs, but I guess you.
Well,
can
he had
catch
said
any
that
fish
the
on
deeper
it.
you go out, that's where they're at. So maybe because you guys were so
We
far
were
out there.
Yeah, we were in 12 foot of water.
You were in the area.
We walked a couple miles out.
Dude.
The funny thing is, and you'll see this in the Snapchat video, when we're walking out, the ice was like shards and like all kinds of hills every 2 inches.
Oh, yeah.
It was horrendous.
Terrain.
Horrendous terrain. The White Desert is what Ryan called it.
Yep, the White Desert.
So that episode.
It's pretty cool being out there, though, you know.
Yeah.
Once you're out there.
The weird thing was we're out there for a couple hours at one point, and we get out and we look, and the guy we're with goes, "You see that ice way out there in the distance? Yeah, that was connected to here a little bit ago." I'm like, oh, really?
Wow.
So it's breaking up and slowly flowing away because of the wind and the.
You could hear it while we were standing there. You could hear it go, like start cracking here and there. You guys know you're on camera, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Both of you. The cameras are pointed at both of you right now.
No, I was telling him, because he always goes like this, like away from the mic, and I'm like, "Jeffrey, stay closer." And he goes, "I can hear it just fine."
I'm casual.
Okay. I was like, that doesn't answer anything. I love him, though.
Ew.
I've had it. Oh, weird. You don't love me. There's been a story that I've wanted to talk about for a long time, like I said, that this is... Okay, first of all, that's not necessary. Okay, I was in the Thumb of Michigan.
Yeah. You guys said it pretty good. You got to give us time, year, all this stuff.
And we're in the Thumb of Michigan, okay? And... Thanks, Jeffrey. He's holding up his thumb.
We're counting the lies.
Oh, whoa. This is not... I'm telling... See, that's the thing.
So here's the story.
No, that's a lie. No one believes the story, and I really don't care because it's like one of those moments that I'll always have to live with by myself.
You really don't have many believers.
No, I really don't.
I think your dad even said no.
Yeah, no, he was there. My dad was there with me. So we go out hunting. We're on this piece of land. It's in the Thumb of Michigan. This is well before the show. I'm probably 17, 18 years old. I got to be 18 or 19, actually, because I was already in the car business. But anyhow, we had my dad and I were going to go out, and we were setting up 2 blinds. It was on a sugar beet field, and there was a little patch of woods, probably about a square acre of woods, with a big drainage ditch of water going through the fields, and then sugar beets on one side and corn on the other. So you've got the most ideal climate you could ever have for squirrels, because there was good cover in those trees. And then there was all the food that they could ever want. And there were acorn trees too, so it's just like heaven for these guys.
What were you hunting for?
Deer.
Oh, that's right.
Deer.
Okay. I thought it was turkey. But.
And I had hunted there a few times, and we had shot some really big fox squirrels there. The biggest fox squirrels I had ever seen. Bigger than, what you're seeing normally. And we got pictures of those and stuff like that, but you're talking like the bodies on them were like this, just real big guys. And so my dad and I went out there, and I remember it was in the morning, and there was a lot of snow. There was like a foot of snow. And it had snowed a lot like the 2 days prior, and it was a Saturday morning. So I walked my dad to his blind because he had never been out there. And then, so he's if you're looking at a map here, my dad is, it's a perfect map. My dad is in this corner here, and then there's a line right here, and I'm all the way over here, but that's like 1,500 yards away. There's sugar beets here, corn here, woods are here.
What's the weekend look like, Kyle?
Yeah. Oh, like the weatherman? So anyhow, my dad's in that blind. I walk him down. I go walking towards my blind. I get all the way there, and I look, and the door is blown open from the snow, and the whole inside of it has like a foot of snow inside the blind. It's one of the, like a wood, 8x8 blind. You got to duck to get in the doorway and stuff like that. And there's a chair there. And inside, there's all these really big tracks, but I'm not really familiarized with what they are. I'm like, they kind of look like squirrel tracks, but I'm not sure. That's a picture of a fox squirrel for the species, for everyone who knows what I'm talking about. I'm like, kind of look like squirrel tracks, but they're huge. I'm like, I don't know what it is. So I just got in, and I sat down in the chair. Well, I'm sitting there, and about an hour and a half into the hunt, I haven't seen anything, and I doze off. I wake up, looking around, and I had an Ensure. I remember that. I like Ensures, and they're like an old people drink, but that was what I had for it was the high protein one.
The story's coming back to me.
Yeah, no, and I grab my Ensure, I open it, and I start drinking it. And then I turn to my left. I never close the door to the blind. So the door is facing the woods area, and then my window is facing the corn area, which is all mowed down and covered in snow now, and then behind me would be the sugar beets field. So in the doorway, I spot movement, and I turn and look, and I stay like my gun is across my lap. It's a muzzle loader because we're in the thumb, and you get one shot with a muzzle loader, and it's got a scope on it, and the scope's all the way zoomed in because I planned on getting something in the woods, which was about 100 yards away. So very unprepared for this. So I turn and look, and I freeze, and standing there is the largest squirrel that God ever created. And you guys can say what you want.
I feel like I need popcorn.
Okay. Now I'm looking. Now there happens to be a small tree right there,
I feel like Kyle's nose is growing.
and you guys can say whatever.
Careful.
You guys,
Are you okay?
from what?
Pants are on fire.
Oh. This is why I'm your only friend. So
Yeah,
anyhow,
that's why.
I look at this thing, and it's sitting up on its back legs, and it's got its tail tucked out, and that sucker is looking me dead in the eyes. Now, at the time, the first thing I think, which is a little sick, but you can say what you want, but this is what I thought. I was like, dollar bill, y'all. Like, I was like,
Kill it.
That squirrel is worth so much money.
Oh,
you imagine
yeah.
how much a Cabela's will pay for this freak show of a squirrel, okay? I mean, this thing's massive. So at the time he's standing up against a tree, I make a mental note as it's staring at me at how high it is because it's standing it's sitting in front of the tree and it's standing up on its back, like it's sitting back on its butt with like a dog will with its hand.
Like in that previous picture, kind of?
Yeah. So it's sitting, well, no, I think that one was squatted down, but it's like just like this. Just like this. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay. I make a mental note of a mark on the tree so I can see how high it is. So if I don't get the squirrel, later on people will believe me because I'll be like, it was exactly this tall. But obviously that didn't work out for me. But anyhow, so I made that mental note and he's staring at me and he goes like this. He gives me one of these numbers because he's like, I'm in his chill zone. You know, whatever he was doing in there, that's his own business. But he's been going in there alone for a while. Whatever squirrels
Just
are doing.
bachelor pad.
And you know what? I take that back. And here's how big this squirrel was. It wasn't a he, it was a she, and I could tell. That's how big it was. It was sitting back, and I could see its privates. I knew exactly what it was. It was a female. So that's how big, like, I feel like a squirrel's got to be decent sized to know that. But anyhow,
Man.
so I'm aware it's female, so I'll call her she from now on. She's sitting back, and she's looking at me, and she gives me one of these numbers. She goes, and she's trying to get me to flinch, because she's not sure what I am, because now I'm in the chair that she's been chilling in. And like a couple times
She's
does it.
She's
trying
testing you, yeah.
Yeah, she's trying to get me to move. And I'm just staring at her, and I'm like, and she starts stepping. She gets down on her paws, hands, whatever they got.
Paws.
And she starts stepping in. Hands.
Footsies.
She starts stepping in. She starts coming into the blind, and I was like, if she comes in that blind, I'm shutting that door behind her, and one of us is leaving, because you're talking about scrapping with a massive beast, okay? Like, this thing's huge. This isn't. And squirrels
So
are
funny.
I mean, the teeth on this sucker, like,
Yeah, that's
this is like
true.
the size of a coyote. So you're talking a whole nother ball game of squirrel. And I'll tell you the measurement when we're all done. So I'm looking at this sucker, and she steps in. She starts to move closer, and then backs up, starts to move, gives me these numbers again, and I'm just sitting there with my open Ensure in my hand, my gun across my lap, freaking out. But I'm like, I got to get that door shut behind us, and then one of us is going home tonight.
Maybe she just wants the Ensure.
Maybe. So anyhow, squirrel gets a little closer, stops, gives me one of these numbers again. It felt like an eternity. It was probably 2 or 3 minutes long, this entire process, which felt like I could feel my heartbeat in my neck, because I'm living something that no one's gonna believe. I'm living something that could potentially be like the coolest story ever, and I just know that sometimes in life, you know, when you're living something that you're like, I'll never forget this, and I'll be talking about this for the rest of my life, and then my next decisions are going to have to be what I said I did in the story for the rest of my life. So I'm sitting there, all of a sudden, out of nowhere.
The squirrel starts talking. With a British accent, mind you. How weird.
Shut up. You're ruining my story. So she stops, and she goes berserk and starts running. My first instinct is I flip up my gun, and I aim out the window, and I shoot very quickly. Did not position myself as quickly, as precisely as I would have liked to, but she's running away from me, dead away. Boom, I shoot. And I literally see the impact go just over her shoulder into the snow as she's running away, and off she goes.
Dang.
Into the end. So I'm sitting there so angry that I missed. So it's a muzzleloader. I mean,
it's that
you're
big.
done.
How would you miss?
It was running. It was, my scope was too zoomed in, is what it was.
Yeah.
I made a reasons why I missed, but and like shoot, so then I call my dad, and he's like, "Did you get something?" I was like, "You got to get over here right now." So my dad walks over, and I show him the tracks, and I show him the mark on the tree, and the mark on the tree said that squirrel was 32 inches tall, just the body without the tail.
That's about as tall as tables and desks usually sit about 32.
That's almost 3 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost 3 foot
But
tall.
that means that is like up to.
Now I've
up to
looked
here.
I've looked it up. With the the tail is almost always at least the length, if not more of the length than the squirrel. So you factor in the tail there, and you're talking about a 5.5 foot squirrel. And anybody can say, I will go on record. I will put my hand on the Holy Bible. You can put me on a lie detector test. There is a mutant squirrel running around, and everyone's like, well, maybe you thought it was a coyote. I'm like, maybe you don't have friends. I looked at this thing for like friggin' 3 minutes for me to run away. I'm not dumb. I know what a squirrel looks like. It was a fox squirrel, perfect colors, perfect resemblance. Not it kind of looked like it. No, it was a fox squirrel. There's no.
Mutant squirrel.
I hunt and fish for a living. It was a fox squirrel. That's exactly what it was. And that sucker was 32 inches tall when I looked at the tree. And my dad's like, those are some really big footprints. And that was all he said about it. And he like wasn't interested in the rest of the story. But I'm like, Dad, it was this tall. He goes, with the tail? I'm like, no. That like it was sitting. He was like, all right, just kind of. But yeah. But I'm like, no, you don't understand. And then I've been telling that story ever since it happened, and I get the same reaction.
Oh, yeah.
You'll notice the gender changes halfway through.
That is a 100% true story. There is a mutant squirrel running around out there, and I almost had him because I was like, do you know, like that would be in the Guinness Book of World Records. I'd be on the news. We would have been on the DNR site. Probably would have sold it to Cabela's for like 20 grand. It was a life-changing squirrel.
What do people say that what do people say that they think you thought you saw?
You get the coyote and fox BS, as if I can't tell the difference. Well, it kind of sounds like a fox. What part? Where I said it was a fox squirrel? Is that where it sounded like a fox?
Yeah.
Shut up. I hate that.
Shut up, stupid.
Well, the thing is, I had so much time to look at it. Fox squirrels don't get that big. Well, I don't like you.
I know that.
I know that. You know what I mean? But that thing, and I made the mark on the tree. Like, I did all the thing. I had so much time to process all this information to like be like, all right, what am I seeing? What am I looking at? Identify it, go through it. I would do anything to go back in time and just be a better person.
Wow.
And deliver on the harvest. Can you imagine the cookout we'd have? We could do it like a slow roast, like a pig. It's just the size of it.
Big slow meat.
But I bet it'd be pretty gamey. But it's the perfect environment. He's got access to sugar beets, corn. They're both organic fields at that, whether that makes a difference. Acorn, 1 by 1 acre of perfect woods for cover for it to sleep in. It had the drainage ditch there for water source. It had every single thing it could need with predators, sure, but access to protection. So it had everything it could. It's a perfect environment. We harvested all kinds of big fox squirrels out there. My dad actually got 2 with his handgun. He was
black powder?
Yeah, black powder pistol that he reloaded. He used the
cool.
little lead balls and was able to harvest 2 squirrels. That's how big they were there with a handgun. Wild deer hunting. He's a savage. But the point is, it was that happened, and I don't care what people say.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was.
I do. It was a fox squirrel. Did you not?
Are you sure it wasn't a fox?
Did you not hear me? No.
I hope
I find it funny I have to say it twice.
that this is an episode that really gets big numbers as far as people watching it, and that you're the next Sasquatch hunter.
I just don't
You're the
care.
next big.
I'll do it.
I know the road. I know where we were. You know where we were.
There's some
Yeah.
weird things out there.
I've been there.
You can say what you want. I don't really care.
I mean, I can't really disagree with your story. It's like, I wasn't there.
That's true.
I can't express how real it was. Like, I just can't get it through people's
Well,
heads.
we can hook you up to the lie detector test.
That's the truth.
I think we should do a lie detector test on the
Coming
show.
up next week.
I think we should. Can we do
I
that?
honestly don't think you're lying.
Good.
I'm not lying.
I hope we do 2
But
lie detectors.
I think we should. It'd be kind of cool just to prove it to other people.
I would love to do a lie detector test. But then you still have the idiots who are like, you don't know what you saw. I'll be like, you don't have friends.
Yep.
I like saying that.
I like
And then
that
while
too.
he's hooked up, we can ask him other questions.
That one's a funny one.
No, just one question's fine.
No, that's fine. I'm done.
Who actually signs the checks?
Philosophical question. It's more of a conversation this week. Ash Wednesday. It's known that a lot of Christians will give up something for Lent, and that is a very
Catholics.
Lutherans do it too sometimes. I know that some people in my church do it.
Yeah, I was a
but
little
know it's
confused by that. So
mostly
I'm
Catholics.
glad you
so.
covered that.
Yeah. So the idea is that the countdown to Easter. Well, the countdown to the crucifixion on Good Friday, and then Easter. A lot of people will give up stuff from one to the other. In church, they give up saying Hallelujah. You're not supposed to say that from the Ash Wednesday all the way until Easter. They take it out of all the bulletins and stuff. So no sermons or no songs will be sung that are say that. But then on Easter, they say it like 100 times. So
He is risen. He is
indeed.
risen indeed.
Hallelujah. So anyhow, I was really going through why people give stuff up for Lent and like what the idea is. And the idea is, what I hear is, you talk about the sacrifice that Jesus made by giving up his life for you. So in order to remind you of that, you give up something so that every time you don't do something that might be normal in your routine, you'll think about that. So like people give up ice cream. If you eat ice cream a lot, I don't know anybody who eats ice cream.
Think about them daily, maybe hourly.
Yeah, maybe hourly, maybe twice a trip.
Maybe they
I
like
don't-
Dove bars. I don't know.
Yeah. God, I love Dove bars, and what I wouldn't do for a Klondike. But anyhow,
Anything.
they give it up for. But I always thought that was kind of. At first, I was under the impression that the reason why people gave it up is because Jesus gave up his life. So you are giving up something. I was like, you're comparing Dove bars to Jesus' life. Like that's like a sick comparison, like a weird thing. And there's some people that do it because of that. Like, well, Jesus gave up something, so I'm going to too. I'm like, well, what an insane comparison. That's like, oh, you lost your leg, I'll stub my toe. Like it's like
Yeah.
Sometimes it hurts a lot. Okay.
It does hit.
oh, when you stub your toe or step on a Lego.
Oh,
Lego's making slippers now that are Lego proof, and they got a Lego logo on them.
topic.
It's
Way
about
off topic.
Completely.
It's about time. I've been looking for those suckers for a while.
I've been telling you to clean up those Legos in your house. You
I
live
know.
alone. No one's gonna pick them up for you.
I know.
I do have Legos in my house.
It's my nightmare. That's actually awesome that AJ does. So the idea that what I've arrived at, that saying that you're giving up something in comparison to what he gave up is insanity. But something to remind you of what he did does make a little bit of sense. I've never actually given up anything for Lent. But have you, Jeff? Mm-hmm. No? Ryan, you haven't either?
No,
I think
that was not
it's
something...
predominantly a Catholic thing, and we're not Catholic, so...
Yeah, that was not something my church practiced.
But, so, the philosophical standpoint of what I was looking for in this whole thing was, I think it would make a lot more sense to be giving up something to remind you of what he did, and not...
Something stupid.
Yeah, also giving up something because he gave up his life, because the comparison just doesn't fit. So, what I'm going to do now is we're going to roll our first ever Snapchat video from this last week.
Because that compares well to Jesus dying on the
It's
cross.
a
good segue.
It's a great segue, but it's a very different topic. So let's roll 'em.
Release their seeds unless there's been a fire. And so a little bit of fire at the right time can stop
Ryan's pretty
everything
tired.
from burning to the ground.
Pretty
And
tired
that's
too.
also a really useful...
Go get these trout.
I pulled for like the first half and I complained a lot the whole time, but I didn't realize that the second half for Jeffrey was going to be highly inconsistent and difficult terrain.
I'm so angry.
Only another mile, buddy.
Because I would walk 1/2 of 1 mile, and I would walk 1/2 a mile more, just to be the man who gets a fish before Kyle, who falls down in the snow.
You're a hunter, and because you hunt, you're the world's greatest conservationist. You're a huntervationist. You do more for wildlife and conservation than anyone. The Sportsman Alliance protects hunters from the animal rights movement. When the Sportsman Alliance gets involved in court cases or legislation, hunters win. Conservation wins. Become a huntervationist today and join the Sportsman Alliance like we did to help protect your rights against the animal rights movement.
Hot Shot Outfitters in Port Hope, Michigan is the destination for whitetail deer, crow, waterfowl, rabbit, predator, and turkey hunts. We have cabins, over 30,000 non-fenced acres, and a passion for delivering fair chase hunts to you and your family. Reserve your hunt at hotshotoutfitters.com today.
When your hands are busy, your mind gets right. When your hands are busy, you can't point fingers and complain that life isn't fair. When your hands are busy, you're serving your family, your friends, and your community. When your hands are busy, you show everyone what you're capable of. The all-new Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year.
Hello and welcome back to episode 19 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast.
19. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's nutty.
Feels like we just started it.
It doesn't. It feels like we've done 19 episodes.
Feels like 22.
Week in,
You haven't done
week
19.
out.
It feels like 19, actually.
I wanted to go through our tip of the week this week, and it's a little bit of a more of a conversation piece, and it's been something that I've done actually a lot of research on and spent a lot of time thinking about it. The owner of Kuiu, which is a very expensive, very good outdoor apparel company. They make a lot of
Awesome products.
yeah, outdoor apparel, and for hunting and fishing and stuff like that.
And we have an open sponsor spot.
Well, hear me out. So anyhow,
Right.
so unfortunately, the owner of Kuiu, who is pretty well known in the industry, like super well known, he was an innovator
Well,
in
not only the
outdoor
founder,
clothing.
but creator
Yeah,
of Kuiu.
and he worked for another clothing brand before that. I forgot which one.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Big one though. I don't remember which one it was, but it was another big one. But then he started his own and was very massively successful and had endorsements from a lot of really big people in the outdoor industry. And unfortunately, late last year now, he took his own life.
And I was thinking about that and kind of dissecting, like, because that hit home in the outdoor industry and, like, about depression and things like that. I was thinking about, like, the idea behind depression and why no one in the group of 4 of us has it. So, like, why are we not depressed? And we talked a little bit earlier about our schedule and the things that we're willing to give up for the goals that we're all reaching towards, right? So our goal is that we want to be able to hunt and fish and create television content for the rest of our lives. Right, AJ? You're stuck with us for life. So the idea...
I'm not writing that screenplay anymore.
We'll do the screenplay after, when we're old men. We'll be able to book higher level actresses at that point. So you just want to sit it out for a little bit.
Okay.
Anyhow, I think that is awesome that you want to do that, though. So the idea behind it is none of us are depressed because we are working towards and slowly but surely attaining a goal that we're working hard at every single day. And Jesus talked about it in the Sermon on the Mount, and it's also throughout the Bible quite a bit, and it's emulated in a lot of other religions as well, that we're created in God's image. Now, God was obviously a creator, right? If he created all this, he was a creator. And if I don't work for like 2 or 3 days where I actually get to like go on vacation or fun or anything like that, I get like this nervous twitch that I'm like letting the 3 of you down and that like we're not getting closer to our goals for the show. And what, by me, messing around for a couple days, what did that do as far as setting us back? Because a couple days could set you back a year. And to a degree, it's sort of unhealthy. But
yeah,
the idea behind it is I don't have time to be depressed because I'm working really hard towards a goal and I'm creating something. So I'm like fulfilling what God gave us as far as like creating that image. So if he made us in his image and we are creators, then it would make perfect sense that when you're not attaining something or you're not progressing towards a realized goal that is important to you, then it would make a lot of sense that you might be depressed. I know women that were depressed, but then once they had kids, they weren't anymore because they were living for the kid. They were attaining something,
or vice versa.
Sure. I've seen it that way. Yeah, exactly. Because now they're not living for themselves and they're living for something else. So the change is there.
Right.
I've seen people that have been completely depressed and then snapped out of it because they had a big opportunity that came their way, and then they were on their way towards realizing that goal.
They felt fulfilled.
And fulfilled. Fulfillment, I think, is the key. So I was thinking about this, and it's like you look at someone who, like, from a giant brand, super successful, one of the most successful people in the outdoor industry, and they're saying that he may have had, he was in the NFL, I believe, and he had possible
CTE.
Yeah, and concussion problems and things like that may have been a cause of it. So I'm not talking about anything medical, and I'm certainly not a clinical psychologist. But what I am saying is that I see a consistency in human beings in my 29 years on this earth that people that are working towards something they care about are never depressed.
Right.
But people that aren't are, and that's a trend that I've noticed.
I agree. Like, and even
That's
for
a gray
me,
line. There's also a gray line to that too. A gray area.
yeah. But I mean, for me, I find myself much happier when I find even if it's stupid things, I keep something on my list for the future to fulfill like those goals.
Right.
Or something in the future for me to look forward to keeps me looking forward to that next step, and that keeps me occupied with just keep looking forward instead of not doing anything and just sitting in a slump where you're just like, what do I do with myself? What kind of person am I?
Right. And it's like having that list of things that you're accomplishing and creating, in a sense, because you're creating the idea to do it, and then you're accomplishing it. So you're fulfilling the creation. And I just don't think there's anything that symbolizes success or happiness more than that. Like, just the realization of like accomplishing a goal and like what you want to do. And like I know specifically where I want to take the show. I won't rest. I won't be happy. I won't feel like I'm successful until we are on one of the largest networks, whether it be Discovery or Netflix or whatever it is, and we're the top outdoor show in the entire industry. I won't be happy. And even once I'm there, I'm sure I'll start moving into like the next realm of what we can do to even be bigger and better.
We could make hunting and fishing movies. There's your screenplay.
There you go.
He
Actually,
he goes, no.
I've actually already thought about. I'd like to create like a conservation-based documentary.
That would be cool.
And I think that creating documentaries is the second. I've got 2 ideas for documentaries. Documentary number 1.
No.
No, don't give them up.
No,
not on the
of
radio
course
show?
not.
Okay, all right, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. One of them, like, only we can do.
I thought you were just about to.
I won't give it up. All right, good point.
And tell the listeners, we're not dismissing anyone out there who does, because it is very serious for some people and,
Sure.
and a large struggle. But in my own experience, and I think a lot of you guys would agree, when you have something to look forward to and you set goals for yourself, goals that can be accomplished. You want large goals that take a long time but are reachable, but you also want small goals that you can hit every week or every month. That gives you kind of that, I don't know, self-esteem that you need.
oomph.
Yeah, that,
You got something done
I
this
did
week
this.
or
Now
this
I'm
day,
excited for next week or next month.
Progress.
Yes, I think that's helped me a lot. When I don't know, everyone goes through it. You just feel a little bit down at times.
But there are times though where it's people that have accomplished a lot, like this guy.
Yeah.
Or like Robin Williams.
I was just gonna say Robin Williams. You know, I mean, there's
Yeah, you can't.
the amount of joy you can bring the masses. You know, he's probably the top there. And,
Yeah.
I would say
and
Robin
he was
Williams is number 1.
obviously fighting demons to himself, and
Yeah.
you
And
know,
that's
it just shows that mental health is a big deal.
Anyone's
you know?
vulnerable.
Yeah, there's like a 3% suicide rate in the United States or something like some insane. Don't quote me on that, but I heard something today that was along those lines, and I don't remember the exact statistics, but a very, very high suicide rate. And to AJ's point is like, I'm not discrediting chemical imbalances and issues that people have that need to be corrected by a
exists.
clinical psychologist and a physician. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the everyday person. Like, start there. Start at the making your list of goals and slowly progressing towards them, because I'm never happier than when I'm checking off things on a list
Right.
that are bettering my long-term goals. Jeff, you listen to a lot of motivational speakers and stuff like that too. Chose to choose gum. He chewed gum on the podcast. That's awesome. But what were you thinking?
Are you actually chewing gum?
Do you swallow it? You're not supposed to swallow it.
I swallow my
I
gum.
will always swallow it.
I swallow my gum.
You guys are sick.
I've been
Why?
chewing it the whole time, but I chew
Never
with my
mind.
mouth
I'm out of
closed.
this whole show thing. I'm leaving all of you if you swallow gum.
I always swallow
I
it's
gum.
swallow openly.
in use
It's using your
since
stomach for like 7 years.
Myth.
God.
Myth.
Absolute
Myth.
myth.
All
Isn't
myth.
it really a myth?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking
My
that.
stomach would be completely full right now if I swallowed. If that was true.
Maybe that's why you don't eat very much.
Maybe I just
be.
don't eat much.
Jeff, out of all the motivational speakers and stuff that you do listen to, though, what would you say you pull the most from, and who do you like the most?
I would say that my favorite is for sure Zig Ziglar, because he talks mostly about, there's a lot of talk about yourself, but he really talks about giving back and not thinking just of yourself, but of other people and what you can do for other people, and how that will not only give you joy, but then you'll get that back from other people.
Right. It's like you can't really get until you give. Mm-hmm. It's like that's just a law. That's all there is to it. Mm-hmm. What about like AJ? Because you're always pretty even keel, and you're a workhorse when it comes to like work and everything like that. And I mean, you're pretty much second in command in everything in this entire thing. So what do you draw from in order to always just be like
I mean, I would just say just by work ethic that I've learned along the lines of, a lot of it probably would have to do with my dad. He works in the automotive industry, and he just goes and just whatever he's called to go to, he goes there and does the job. And I'm like, Dad, like, you're in San Francisco. Have you seen all these places or whatever? And he's like, no, I've literally just been working this whole time. And I'm like, well, you gotta like go out and have some fun or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, I could, but I just don't. And I just, and the majority of it was all because he wanted to give us a good life growing up, and he did. So I look back on that a lot, where I'm like, he wasted a lot of weekends or put in a lot of time to do what he did and make the money he did, and I don't want to not make good money. So I feel like you just gotta work, and eventually, it will happen. I follow a lot of musicians that I follow or that I look up to, I guess. And I noticed there's a path where everybody has their shot. It's just a matter of once you get it, you can continue it. You know,
Right.
It's like when they say in the major leagues, it's very easy to make it in the major leagues. It's harder to stay in it. So it
Right.
kind of look at it like that way. Just everyone has their shot. They just gotta once they get it, they gotta.
We
You know?
kind of have some of that as well, like because everyone's like, oh, you get to travel. Oh my God, you went to, this place. Did you get to experience this cool thing there? No. We spent our entire time in the woods.
Right after an episode about how we were in Mardi Gras, though.
Yes, sometimes we do get to go and do really cool
And
things.
more now than
but-
ever before, but
Correct.
for 4 years
That's a
that
newer
wasn't the
thing.
case.
That's
That's
a
a
new
new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and now we have time where we can spend 4 days in a place instead of
Two.
better get it done in this weekend. Okay, well,
Right. Hope we can catch a fish. It rained 2 of the 3 days, and we're in trouble. AJ, and then Ryan, because I want to ask Ryan this too. AJ, you've been here for a really long time, pretty much since, we started the show 4 years ago, and it started airing about 2 years ago, and you've been with us well before it even started airing.
Yep.
From your perspective of starting at that, do you think that you found more fulfillment in the fact that when you came in, it wasn't a stable environment? It was a small business, a new business, a young business,
Yep.
and we were trying to create something out of nothing, and it was really just almost an idea at the time when you came in.
Yep.
Do you think that helped you feel more fulfilled in your work? Because I know that you are, because you tell me all the time that you are. So you're fulfilled in your work. So do you think you're more fulfilled because you were on the ground floor, or do you think you would have felt better if we were already like super established and came in a little later in the game?
Maybe a mixture of both, but like you said, we started from the very bottom.
And now we're here.
And now we're here.
Gross, Drake, what up?
And I probably would, as fulfilled as I am now with it, you just got to keep going and
Right.
keep learning. And we didn't know what we were doing, really. We've learned along the way. So that's kind of just that's how I've grown as a worker, and my knowledge of how stuff works is just, you just keep practicing, keep doing it.
Right.
I didn't know how to use all these programs that we use now 2 years ago.
Right.
And it's just a matter of repetitiveness and keep going at it.
Now, you had a job beforehand that took less mental capacity for sure. It was more of a production line type job.
Yep.
Do you think you're happier now with a more complex position that you constantly have to be problem solving, and now you're in charge of everybody and all these different things? Do you think that you're more fulfilled now than you were in that environment?
Yeah, because the places we've gone to, the things we've seen, life's about experience. If you don't go anywhere forever, you're not mentally satisfied.
Right.
So the experiences, the what we've learned, those all factor into how we've grown.
For me too, it's interesting as like the person who's kind of steering the ship a little bit with the show is like I always have to keep my thumb on your guys' happiness as well as my happiness, and like the work load that I put on you guys, which you guys always make easy because I'm able to just throw everything on your guys' lap and you guys just get it done. But balancing everyone's happiness with like realistic schedules and realistic sleep, that apparently human beings need sleep, but also having to complete things in a timely manner for the investors, for the networks, for the for the meetings, the distribution meetings, all these different things, and it's like a balance of like everyone's feelings and stuff like that. And you guys are the greatest people, and you guys are literally my brothers, but I'm very grateful for that. Ryan, for you, coming in a little later in the game, over a year now, but we were already established, and we've a lot more established now since you've been here, with many parts, and thanks to you.
Yeah.
But would you say that you, same question as AJ, are you more fulfilled because you knew it was a small business that was still kind of just starting, or do you think you would have been more fulfilled in coming into a larger company? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's more fulfillment in it being a small kind of startup company when I first joined in. When I don't know, the big company thing is you feel like there's less to work for, like
a ceiling, like a glass ceiling.
Well, yeah, and you can never break through it.
Right.
You're stuck there. Where you are is where you are. They already have someone else for that other job. There's nothing else you can do. There's nothing to work for. Right here, like it's us four working for the world, just
together.
We're doing what we got to do to get through it, and we're gonna do it.
Right.
And so, I was going to school, and I think it was right at the very beginning of my first semester of college. I had taken the fall semester. I had graduated, then the summer went and I worked, and then the fall came and I worked, and then winter came and I was to start the winter semester. And that's when you called and asked me to come meet you guys and
Right.
see if we wanted to work, if I wanted to work with you guys. And there wasn't a lot of contact.
Right.
Because you
We're
lost
so
your
busy.
phone.
Yeah, and I lost my phone in a river. That's so standard.
So there's
Which
like
time was that?
there was like a month and a half-ish.
Sure.
Where we didn't really talk a whole lot. And I'm like, that'd be cool if it happened. And I just didn't
That's
feel...
what I said.
Yeah.
You know, like, if it's real, this would be great.
Yeah, right.
He also had a similar experience. Didn't talk to him for a month. And then
But like while I was in school, I was taking video production classes and just all your regular classes at college, and I was just miserable. It was not the place for me. I couldn't stand being in that classroom. Like the video production class.
What a joke, because you could literally teach the class
yeah,
now.
yeah, like I would
true.
just sit there bored out of my mind. I could finish these projects in minutes, but the projects were supposed to take like weeks. But I
Right.
was finishing them in a class, and just knew everything about it. So I'm sitting there just bored out of my mind. I can't do anything. And then finally, I have something where I can put my knowledge towards, and I can like everything I've learned about business. There's no way I could have learned that in a year of college.
No.
What I've learned now.
And I'm not anti-college, but when it comes to...
I am.
When
Don't
it
do
comes-
it.
there are some
I am
things that
too.
you can learn at college that you have. Like, if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be my doctor, you better have gone to college.
Yeah. There's trades that are specific to gain knowledge that you're not going to get in high school. But for Ryan's sake and for everybody else's sake in the TV industry, as like somebody who hires people in television, man, like the people that went to school 6 years ago to Specs Howard or whatever it might be, that information is dated immediately. Technology is ever changing, and you've got Ryan, who is, from a raw talent standpoint, the best person I've ever seen, hands down. And then you've got AJ, who has the background and is more hungry to learn new things than anybody I've met. So you take those two people, and you guys are really the reasons why we're able to get to where we're at now. And I think that the whole
Don't discredit yourself.
thanks, but I take the whole picture of the whole thing, and you look at it, and it's like we're all realizing our dreams together, and because of that, we're a happy group. And if nothing else from this talk, I hope that maybe it inspires other people to, even if you're working another job, find a way to add time to accomplish your own goals and create your own thing.
I was going to school. I was going to college and also taking flight lessons to become a commercial pilot. That's what I was doing before I got this job, which you guys all know that.
Yeah.
But during all that time of the flight lessons, which was awesome, and I'd like to get back into that, but college and all that, I don't think it was going to be my thing, and I'm glad this is where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I do love you guys like brothers. You're the best. So Jeffrey's a little weird, but other than that, hopefully we inspired somebody out there today and gave a little bit more of an insight into the Green Bay Outdoors and who we are. Check out our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter pages. If you are listening to this podcast, you don't have to. You can watch it on our YouTube page. Go there, the Green Bay Outdoors. Subscribe. We post content like 3-4 videos a week. Sometimes I'm not in it, so sometimes they're good. Like, check them out. They're real cool. Visit our new website, thegreenbayoutdoors.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay green.